watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen called on NATO member states and U.S. allies that have been signatories to the Cluster Munitions Convention to take responsibility and help prevent any attempt to use the weapons in the Ukraine war. In a Twitter post last night, the Prime Minister called on the United Kingdom, Spain, Germany, and Canada, all U.S. allies and signatories of the Convention on Cluster Munitions, to join together and prevent U.S. President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky from using cluster bombs in the war against Russia. His call is a response to President Joe Biden's announcement last week that the U.S. would be sending cluster munitions as part of an $800 million military aid package to the Ukraine in its fight against the Russian invasion. The UK, Canada, New Zealand, and Spain all voiced opposition to the move, which Biden called, quote, a very difficult decision. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak stated that as a signatory to the Convention on Cluster Munitions, Britain will not encourage the use of cluster munitions in war. He added that NATO still has many ways to help the Ukraine without the use of cluster munitions. Cluster munitions are a type of bomb that, when dropped, emit many smaller bombs that can kill without discretion. Another controversial feature of the weapons is their dud rate, which leaves behind unexploded ordnance that can affect civilian populations during and long after the conflict has ended. The U.S. dropped cluster bombs in Cambodia during the 1960s and 70s, and there are still estimated to be between 5 and 6 million unexploded bombs that threaten Cambodian lives more than 50 years later. The Convention on Cluster Munitions was signed by 123 countries in Dublin, Ireland in May 2008. The convention was enforced and became part of international law on August 1, 2010. Neither the U.S., Ukraine, nor Russia are signatories of the convention. However, the cluster munitions approved to be sent by Biden do break a U.S. law which forbids the production, use, or transfer of cluster munitions with a failure rate of more than 1%. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. In the coming week, Cambodia will see the effects of a low-pressure system coming in from China, followed by the same phenomenon coming from the eastern Pacific and southwest monsoon, causing light to moderate rains mixed with thunderstorms. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
While the next few days will see rain, the weather is expected to intensify, with storms starting Saturday, July 15th. According to the Ministry of Water and Resources and Meteorology, effects from the low-pressure system will cause light to moderate rainfall in the central lowlands and in the highlands from July 12th to 14th, while July 15th to 18th will see light rainfall mixed with thunderstorms and heavy winds. Coastal areas can expect the same weather patterns and warn to strong winds and high waves at the sea. The Ministry of Water and Resources and Meteorology advised residents to be vigilant against possible natural phenomena. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Matt Dillon returned to Cambodia this week, 20 years after the release of his directorial debut, City of Ghosts, which was filmed in the Kingdom of Wonder. His diehard fans attended a private screening of the film on Saturday at Olympia's Legend Cinema, followed by a Q&A session. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
During Matt Dillon's return to Cambodia, he held a special meet and greet with his fans after a screening of City of Ghosts. The guests were treated by a Q&A session organised by the Cambodian International Film Festival, or CIF. Matt was this year's patron for the festival and spoke with nostalgia and excitement about the progress of Cambodia's film industry.
Cambodia is such a very special place to me. It's such a fertile ground for creativity. It's great to see that it's really developed into such a thriving film industry. And I really look forward to seeing these young filmmakers come up with in the future.
In an interview with EAC News, Matt Dillon expanded on the reasons for his visit. The main reason was being to recognise the life and talent of Kem Sravut, a first-time Khmer actor who he had cast in one of the principal roles of the film.
And in many ways, it's a tribute to a gentleman that I worked with on the film, who was a dear friend, Sravut Kem, who was an actor who had never acted before, who I cast in one of the larger parts of the film, and unfortunately he passed away in November. And I thought it would be a good time to come back and see some old friends.
Although Kem Sravut passed away late last year, his family attended the screening on his honour. His daughter Mei Lin said that she was very excited to present an event along with her family.
I'm very excited Yes, to be able to present here in this incredible event, and also my family, they are also excited.
She spoke highly of her father, who was proud of the work he had done and grateful for the experience.
Yes, he talked a lot, and he liked to tell all the stories and experience to his friends, his fellow friends, and yes, he's quite very proud to be in the movie. I just know that he loved everything he has done.
Maylin said that she's very much enjoyed meeting Matt Dillon and reintroducing him to Cambodia. During his stay, Matt Dillon will be leading filmmaking masterclasses, sharing his experiences in the industry and reflecting on making the City of Ghosts. Cambodia International Film Festival was honoured to have Mr. Dillon as their patron and to hear his insights on filmmaking in Cambodia. The full interview with Matt Dillon can be seen on our website and other social media outlets. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Archaeologists at the Angkor Temple complex continue to make exciting discoveries that provide a deeper look into Khmer history. Within the past month, researchers have discovered a ceramic kiln cluster and are reviewing what they believe to be a rare iron kiln site. This week, the Apsara National Authority announced plans to excavate 25 mounds believed to contain ceramic kiln fragments after a kiln cluster was discovered on a large mound at the northwest corner of Angkor Thom in Siem Reap. The kiln was in operation from the mid-12th century until the early 15th century. According to a report released by the Apsara National Authority, the ceramic kiln cluster is located on a large mound stretching from east to west and is 230 meters long, 84 meters wide, and about 2.7 meters high. Deputy Director of the Department of Research, Training, and Dissemination, Tintina, said that the discovery project has been underway since 2020, when a handful of researchers excavated 2 mounds and collected artifacts to confirm that the site contains ceramic kilns. The Apsara National Authority recently partnered with the University of Hawaii and Flinders University to use a magnetometer to scan the temple complex, which has yielded results in multiple areas. Based on evidence such as scrap metal, stove fragments, and the tradition of the villagers using iron ore as a cure for illness, researchers took a magnetometer on the grounds of Kok An Dek near Phnom Penh in Siem Reap's Bante Sere district. In late June, the team surveyed the area for proof of an ancient iron kiln that could have played a key role in supplying metals for home appliances, agricultural equipment, weapons, and other supplies for the 800,000 people of ancient Angkor. Researchers aim to expand the study of the kiln sites and consider the data obtained from these excavations as a key foundation for future research. Kristen Winters, EAC News.
Hi, you're watching Insight EAC News. Thanks for joining. I'm Anthony Ellis. Today's host has been in over 50 films around the world. He's also been nominated for numerous of nominations for different awards. He's also known as in Something About Mary and something even closer to Cambodia, City of Ghosts. Our host today is Matt Dillon. Thank you, Matt Dillon. Thank you very much for joining us. And our guest, Matt Dillon, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be back here.
Patron of Cambodian Film Festival. How important is that for you?
Well, I mean, Cambodia is an important place for me. It's the film. I made my first film here, and they asked me to do that because it's been 20 years since the film was released, and so I was happy to do that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to come at the time, but I was discussing afterwards with John Perazzi, who was a cameraman on my film, and we talked about maybe coming and doing a screening. And in many ways, it's a tribute to a gentleman that I worked with on the film, who was a dear friend, Sarah Vutkem, who was an actor who had never acted before, who I cast in one of the larger parts of the film. And unfortunately, he passed away in November. And I thought it'd be a good time to come back and see some old friends
Difference from 20 years ago when you made the movie to now, it's been big, great changes.
Well, I mean, things have changed dramatically here. A lot for the better, I think. I think the opportunities for the Khmer, the society, people have grown, and there is, a lot of development, and I think it's good. The thing that I'm more focused on here is, it's one of the reasons I'm here, is to kind of meet with filmmakers, young student filmmakers, actors and stuff. And the film industry has really, really expanded. And, I got to go out to the film office where Ritti Pan is very active, and great Cambodian filmmaker. And it was really great to see. And some of the folks that worked with me on City of Ghosts are now there, and so I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna have a screening of the film tonight, and there's gonna be a lot of people there. And it's always a nice time. But as I was saying, I just like to say, and it's beautiful to see the development, and at times a little bit concerning, because I feel like it's a really tricky balance, because there's a lot of beautiful things that really captured my imagination when I came to Cambodia, almost 30 years ago for the first time, and it's great to see the development and the middle class sort of developing, which really is nice to see. However, I think they have to save. This is their city, their country, their culture, to save what's important and not throw out. And it's such a rich history, Cambodia. I mean, it's an incredible history, and to embrace and accept all of that as part of its history. And otherwise, there's always the danger that as the world is globalizing, and this is not a Cambodian issue by any means. Problem in the United States, in New York, and I'm always very advocating for saving a church that's going to be torn down, because usually it's fine to develop and build, and it's great for the economy, and it's great for so many things, but there's no reason that you have to destroy something that is there. The two can coexist, preservation and development. So I think that's the one thing that I would suggest. I'm happy to see all the things that are going on and the changes. Yeah.
So you started, you wrote, directed City of Ghosts.
Yeah.
You picked Cambodia. How did you pick Cambodia and the
Well,
surroundings?
it really was born in a way out of, it's a fictional film. It's a part crime drama, and part of it's a drama. It's really a personal story about a guy who's going through some transition and changes, and it's got a father-son element to this story, and it made sense for here. I mean, it was sort of born out of my time here, and there was a basis of reality, even though it's fiction. There's a basis of reality of things that I drew from in my experience, and from things that I witnessed and was aware of, and so it made sense. And there were times I had people would say, "Well, why don't you shoot it in? You could shoot it in Mexico City. You could shoot it in Acapulco." Yeah. And I said, "No, it's really Cambodian. It's a Cambodian story, and it really reflects a period before I came here to make the film. It was sort of post-UNTAC, post when the United Nations was here and stuff, and it really reflected that period when there was still some instability. At that time, the Khmer Rouge was still somewhat active.
We'll come to our next question. To do a film in such an early stage of Cambodia's growth, of coming out of Pol Pot, was there any sense of danger? Did you have any problems with the government? How was the surroundings of them safe?
Well, there were challenges, as there are in any films, but especially working in a place where there wasn't the same infrastructure that that we were used to experiencing. So there were logistic challenges. The casting was kind of amazing because a lot of the local Khmer actors were terrific. We used a lot of people that never acted before, and one of them was the guy who was probably the third largest part in the movie, Sarah Kem and Sra, and I met him, and he was a very charming, charismatic, dynamic person, and so I was able to do that. And so there were things that were refreshingly easy. People were excited about what was happening, and we didn't have too many. There were challenges. I mean, for example, we worked in Bokor, at the top of Bokor, and this was like the roads had been washed away, so we had to rebuild roads and bridges, and we even did some landmine clearance up there that needed to be done at the time. Although they didn't find any landmines, but there was some concern that there were, so we had a very good production, I have to say, and that we had a very good production. So they really were good with the logistics of it all. But those were the big challenges. I think on the creative side, it was very rewarding, making the film.
And so leading to our next question is City of Ghosts, filmed 21 years ago. Could it be filmed here in Cambodia now? Forget about logistics, forget about story-wise and everything.
I feel like the story that, like I said, it was, there were some classic elements to it, so I think it's kind of universal. Because it's a story about people. I think that's ultimately what's important for me, are characters and people. And so I think thematically, there's a lot of things that are universal, that are pertinent, today. I mean, in many ways, you could tell a similar story in a lot of places. You don't have to. And sure, it could be made today, although there are elements in the story that reflect a certain socio-political period of time. Like I said, it was a time when it really reflected a time that was when there was some instability, and it's in the story where he talks about it, the danger of being out on the roads at night because of the activity that was going on. There were more guns readily available. I think that's changed a lot. Fortunately, I wish that would happen in the United States, but unfortunately, it's not happening. And so there was a little bit more instability at the time, but there was also something very magical about the place in terms of there was still a kind of it was kind of going through a rebirth in a way.
More rawness, where people
there was a rawness, and it really lent itself to cinema.
Yeah.
Because when you're telling storytelling, you need tension, you need conflict, and this was an interesting, paradoxical world that we were in, one of spirituality, but one of there were elements of there were criminal elements here at one time that maybe I'm sure they're everywhere in the world. So, but it is a crime drama. Ultimately, yes, it's a. The films that I watched when I was making and preparing this film that inspired me were films by, for example, The Third Man, it's one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion, by Carol Reed. It was a Graham Greene story. And also I thought of Lord Jim, and there was a film called Outcast of the Island. And of course, all the films by Sam Fuller, which were these kind of, House of Bamboo was a film that we watched. And I always liked the idea of telling a story in an authentic way, but also a story with a 3-act structure, kind of beginning, middle, and end. And that's why I think it is a story that's still universal. I certainly hope it holds up. Good thing is we don't have any of those giant cell phones that, you see a movie made a long time ago. This movie's not that old, Sometimes you see an old movie and the technology makes you feel like, when was this movie made, You see somebody whips out a cell phone and it's as big as a goddamn coconut. It's like the size of a durian fruit,
Yeah. Have you tried durian?
No. But there's a really funny bit in the movie where, this is East meets West thing where the character Silk comes out of the market with the durian fruit, and the character I played, Jimmy, smells it and he says, "What's that?" He goes, "It's durian. It's delicious." I said, "That's great. Do you mind if we put it in the trunk?" Because of the smell. And I remember at the time back then, I don't know if it's still the case, and I know it's such a popular dish in Cambodia, but I remember there would be signs in hotels with the durian fruit with the slash going through it.
Still around to this day.
Yeah, I know it's popular food.
It's a wonderful fruit. I quite enjoy it, but it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. I remember the watermelon juice. Drinking the watermelon juices were good here.
So we'll come back to the food. How did you adapt? 20 years ago, you didn't have the Western food as we do today.
Well, yeah. One of the things that the producer was nervous about was if you don't have the right caterer and everybody gets sick, it's a problem. And this is something that's always a danger. So the food that we were being served on the set was pretty bland. However, we all loved the Khmer food, Khmer Chinese food. There was good Vietnamese food, that was very good food. And the only people that got sick were the people in the production office eating local Western food. But nobody got sick eating the Khmer food. It was the Western food people got sick from.
Yeah, we look at the movie. I've seen the movie. It's a fantastic movie. I quite enjoyed it.
Thank you.
The hotel you stayed in, the infrastructure, there was nothing. Have you gone back and visited that area?
Yeah, we did. We did. And it's nice to see the building's still saved. There's nothing left from the film.
Yeah.
I met the owner. He's a super nice guy. It's a good French restaurant. But there was hotels like that. I remember there were like $3 a night, some with the air conditioning. Not everything's working. This is real.
Yeah.
And there were people. I remember speaking to David Chandler, the historian, and he said, "Oh yeah, back in the pre-war Vietnam War era, these were all the bars and around here, and Corsican guys owned restaurants and bars, and there was this kind of, and it was funny because I didn't know that. And then this Gerard Depardieu's character is this Corsican kind of bar owner, and so it was. I'm glad to see that some things are still being saved. Hey, you can't change. This progression happens in the world, but it's nice to see that because this is what makes Phnom Penh different than all the other, big Asian cities. Once it becomes like that, it's it loses that distinctive flavor, right?
Yeah.
And what's beautiful here is you can still see it's very green. It's still a very green city. You hope that it stays that way,
I think in the future they're looking to stay there. I've been coming for 23 years, and when you made that movie and lived here for nearly 8 years, so I've seen a lot of changes. It is great for the future, but it's still got that French colony with you at that hotel. It's still a beautiful architecture on that.
Yeah, and when I came here in 1992, and I went around, I had a cyclo driver take me around, and I was really, it was very magical, the mix of different architectures, different periods. You have obviously you had all the Angkor stuff, but then you had this beautiful Buddhist Theravada Wats and temples with the old French colonial buildings that were in disrepair but still beautiful.
Yeah.
And it gave it a kind of magic, especially, and then with the people who were so distinctive and very, very charming, and culture was still alive. No matter what happened in the tragic past, they couldn't eradicate that. They couldn't take that. You couldn't change that, It was still distinctively here.
Over 50 movies nominated for many, many awards and everything else. How special was this movie to you and everything?
Well, the process of it was what was really the best part. And I know that I felt good that it was a film that really affected people, many people who worked on the film. American, from other countries and Cambodia. And I'm very happy about that. So the process of making it was the highlight. That's the reward. The reward is what you get from making it. And of course, when the film came out, we had a very good response. We played in a lot of festivals, and it had a good release. I mean, there were things about it that were challenges there. So, I mean, if we look at life as a series of obstacles that we have to sort of negotiate, right? It was like everything else in that way. And that keeps things interesting. And this was a very interesting journey making this film.
Future, have you got any plans of coming back to making it?
I would love to. I don't have any specific plans right now, but you know, I very much would like to come back here and work. I had a great experience. It's one of the best. Let me say that it was one of the highlights of my career, was working on this film here. And so of course I would want to come back and do something here again. It's just about finding the script. And for me, the whole key is always characters.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing, is that you have characters that resonate. They don't have to be necessarily likable, but they have to be engaging, you know, and that's important. Have good, strong characters, and then they tell the story.
Well, in this particular movie, you had to have special characters, because it's kind of a mystery saying, you know, you're looking for your father figure, he's there, he's not there, he's dead, so much happened. How did you choose which actors that you actually, I mean, also to convince?
Well, the biggest challenging was getting local actors here, because a lot of the local actors in Cambodia were working in the Royal Theatre, and they were working in a very stylized kind of way. And so we'd have this, it would be very funny. I'd try to cast somebody and they would do something that was like Khmer theater, you know, it's very theatrical, and it didn't fit with the film that we were doing. So it was better to find non-actors. But I do believe that everybody is capable of performing, because we do every day in our lives, you know. We all do, you know. And so, and I wanted to convey that to the local the people that worked on the film. I didn't want to teach them to become, I'm not trying to take them to acting school. I'm trying to make them believable and real. And so I was fortunate, and I got a very interesting group of non-actors. And there was one actor in particular who was an actor. Who was an actor before of the Khmer Rouge, and his name was Loto, and he passed away, and he was great. He was the best actor I could find, and he was colorful, you know, about this tall. He was like really great, and he had real command, you know. And then to the casting of the other characters, I didn't want to ever compromise. And for example, Gerard Depardieu was somebody I'd been thinking of throughout the whole, while I was preparing the film, and James Caan. And I was able to get a cast that was, you know, even greater than I thought I would be able to get. And I think that is really the condition of, as the characters develop and become richer, then actors want good roles, you know.
Your most memorable part about Cambodia during this film?
Well, I'd say that the most memorable thing is that we had a chicken in the camera truck that raised havoc. And you know, one of the guys in the camera department was the Cambodian guy who's now running the whole Cambodian film office, and we were joking about that. Yeah. But no, it was fun. You know, it was really great. It was a real international mix of folks. But I always say there was before Bokor and after Bokor, because Bokor was the most challenging thing at that time, to work up on that hill in that fog and those conditions. And it really was
really cold too, doesn't it?
It wasn't cold when we were there. It was just foggy. Yeah. And at certain points we couldn't see our hand in front of our face, you know. So it was hard to shoot. But it just, watching, certain things and being there, it was such a lively atmosphere, and the neighborhoods were very, it was interesting. People were, eager to be a part of the film in any capacity. So I'd see somebody and I'd think, oh, this guy's great. Let's put him in the scene. And we'd have somebody come in and out of the scene, They were happy to do that.
How have the Cambodians welcomed you then and now?
Very welcoming, very Cambodian. I found to be incredibly, generous in spirit. And when I had written the script, the character of Sra, that Sarah Kem, or Sra, played Salt, was, in the end, he was a clever but, duplicitous character who he ends up, so all these criminals, he ends up outsmarting all of them and getting the money. And when I was here, I looked around and I said, in some of the places I was in, that's not true to who this guy would be. This guy is a guy who has nothing, but he's generous in spirit because he's a Buddhist. And I thought that's, it just naturally happened that way. Yeah.
Finally, last words, because Cambodia has grown with the film industry there. I mean, SIF has been around for 12 years now. What can you inspire people who want to get into acting, or not even just acting, directing, writing?
You mean masochists? You mean people who are gluttons for punishment?
Yeah.
I think just really focus on the creative potential of things, focus on storytelling, and and don't worry about the cash and prizes because they may or may not come. So and go to school. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Develop a curiosity. And when I say keep an open mind, if you're an actor, but then you find that maybe I'm a better writer than I am an actor, or you might find that there's because there's so many different departments of creativity that you can go to.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. People just think, okay, movies, actors, that's it. I don't think they understand the back part, like you said. You've got the directors, you've got the editors and everything else that puts all this together to make people who they are. So it's just see if you can write and see what suits you, because acting mightn't suit you, but writing might. And you should not look down to that and just continue what your dream will be.
Yeah, I mean, I think creative processes are often interchangeable in many ways.
Thank you very much for your time, and
Pleasure.
enjoy the rest of your trip.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right.
Thanks. We'll go now.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Phnom Penh's urban village added prestige to the Cambodian international business scene when it became the first Cambodian enterprise to win an Asia-Pacific Entrepreneur Noble Records Award in Malaysia last month. The award ceremony is in its 20th year and is one of the world's most represented and recognized international business awards. On Saturday, June 24th, Dr. Ben Lee and Catherine Chan, founder of Urban Village and Factory Phnom Penh and chairperson of the Cambodian Chinese Commerce Association, accepted the historic award in front of Malaysian and Cambodian government officials and the Malaysian royal family.
我们今天非常高兴，因为我们是第一个还是唯一一个柬埔寨的公司取得这个奖。那么我觉得这个奖是对我们很有意义的，因为可以给马来西亚人还有所有的参与这个活动的人认识一个新的投资的地方，就是柬埔寨。
Urban Village, located on the south end of Norodom Boulevard, is a 7.6-hectare condominium development that provides residents with modern amenities and a vibrant community. The fast-growing area contains restaurants, retail shops, and co-working spaces for professionals and visitors alike. The Urban Village neighbors the Factory Phnom Penh, which is a one-of-a-kind creative space and a premier hub for Cambodia's burgeoning art scene that provides seasonal markets, cultural events, sports facilities, and more. In addition to providing cultural and professional experiences, the Urban Village is accessible to more than the ultra-wealthy. Rental prices start from $240 a month, and units can be bought for as low as $70,000. The success of Urban Village on the international business stage proves the concept's adaptability while also providing confidence to potential foreign investors in Cambodia by showing that the kingdom is an ideal place for quality and creative investment. Kristen Winters, EAC News. Prime Minister Hun Sen called for an end to the use of cluster bombs in the Russia-Ukraine war due to their high rate of civilian casualties. He is one of several human rights groups and fellow world leaders to call out the use of cluster bombs, whose use is banned by 123 countries due to their lingering effects long after conflicts. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
The Prime Minister released a telegram message yesterday responding to talk of the United States sending cluster bombs to Ukraine to defend against Russian troops. He said that such a move is dangerous and would only hurt Ukraine in the long run. Cluster bombs are especially dangerous due to the high number of unexploded ordnance which are left behind, sometimes wreaking havoc on civilian populations for decades after. The Prime Minister wrote, Cambodia has a painful history of receiving cluster bombs from the United States in the early 1970s. In more than half a century now, we have not found a way to destroy them completely. He acknowledged that Cambodia has a small voice in the international stage, but out of compassion for the people of Ukraine, he called on the US President Biden and the Ukraine President Zelensky not to use cluster munitions in this war because the real victims are people, especially the people of Ukraine. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Golden Gate American School, or GGAS, sent 7 outstanding students to compete in the Copernicus Olympiad in New York. EAC News had a chance to speak with the talented students before they left on Saturday, July 8th. GGAS student Kim Kanal expressed his happiness to participate in an international competition in the United States. He added that before leaving for the competition, he trained to improve his skills and receive tutoring at home.
This is my second time actually competing in the Copernicus Olympiad. So the first time I do it in Texas, Houston, and I got silver medal. So this time I wish I got better. So
Yang Koma Amrenter, an 11th grade student at GGAS, said that although she was a little nervous, she was confident that she would be able to get good results in this competition. She also won a silver medal in the previous competition.
I have been practicing at home, yes, with my sister.
Amrenter's sister, Yang Koma Sotepi, who attended the competition, also expressed her happiness while getting ready for the competition.
I feel kind of nervous but excited at the same time because I can't wait to compete.
Other students are hoping for the best, but maintaining a good attitude towards the opportunity to compete.
I say I want the result to be good, and we'll see.
The result isn't fine. No, I mean it doesn't matter if I pass or fail, but I try my best.
This is the 3rd time Cho Visna is supervising the students' trip to the competition and said that his Cambodian students always succeed and bring back medals.
We are so excited that our students have the opportunity to go to America to compete this event. Actually, at Golden Gate American School, we have events, competitions every year. Not only America, we went to Germany, we went to UK, Italy, so many competitions that we facilitate our students to go. We will not just allow our students to go by themselves. At the school, we always send our supervisor, facilitator to help students along the way, from the beginning until the end of the competition.
He added that by sending students to compete abroad, GGAS allows its students to gain new experiences, so when they graduate from school, they are already exposed to an international environment. Yang Saenkoma, whose 2 children were sent by GGAS to participate in the international competition, expressed his pride in his 2 daughters and said that participating in this competition would be a good experience for them as well. He believes that GGAS's curriculum, along with the opportunities it presents for international competitions, have made students more courageous, more developed, and more focused on their studies.
The Golden Gate International School, from my experience, so from time to time, the children, they are growing, they improve a lot, especially in terms of not only in English, but in our general education. And especially they have been encouraged to compete both national and international competition. So for me, it's a good experience for them to explore the world also.
The Copernicus Olympiad is a globally renowned international competition where students from 3rd to 12th grade participate in mathematics, physics, natural sciences, astronomy, and cybersecurity competitions. There are attractive prizes on offers for the winners. In May, GGAS students returned from Germany with 18 medals, including the top 3 gold medals from the Pangea Math World Olympiad. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Hun Sen said that while the world recovers from the COVID-19 crisis, the economy and global development continue to face complex and pointed problems in both social and financial areas. He therefore expressed support for promoting regional integration and multilateralism with the launch of the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
Speaking at the first high-level meeting of the Forum of Global Activities for the Joint Development on the morning of July 10th, Prime Minister Hun Sen said that the current global context of polarization, mutual aid and development is inseparable in improving human capital, bringing the digital gap, strengthening supply and production change, promoting direct investment infrastructure and develop the green economy. He noted there should be a common framework that takes into account the strategies and mechanisms of cooperation, especially the planning and financing of priority projects to ensure the intended are effective. The Prime Minister stated that within their bilateral relations, Cambodia and China have strived to promote cooperation to the highest level to become a diamond cooperation, which is detailed in the joint statement on the building of common dynastic Cambodia-China community in the new era. He said, I believe that the promotion of Cambodia-China cooperation will complete its incentives for global development to be more effective. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
The Daily Roundup premieres every night at 8 p.m. on the EAC News channel, but the news day starts a full 12 hours earlier. EAC News' passionate team of reporters, writers, cameramen and video editors are hard at work around the clock, bringing you world-class reports on everything from local and regional news to the latest international stories and the most dramatic footage from around the world. It takes meetings, research, phone calls and emails, and that's before we even get out of the newsroom and into the field, shooting interviews and those pieces to camera, not to mention into makeup and onto the set. The Daily Roundup, Cambodia's most comprehensive English language news show, premiering every night on the EAC News channel. Join us and subscribe. We wouldn't want you to miss a thing. The Daily Roundup with me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and only on the EAC News channel. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
តើលោកអ្នកចិត្តរៀបអាពាហ៍ពិពាហ៍មែនទេហើយពិបាករកក្រុមហ៊ុនថតវីដេអូផ្សាយផ្ទាល់ដែលមានគុណភាពមែនទេអស់កង្វល់រ៉ាទីកាជាក្រុមហ៊ុនទទួលស្គាល់លំដាប់អន្តរជាតិលើសេវាកម្មថតផ្សាយផ្ទាល់គ្រប់កម្មវិធីកម្រិត 4K ដំបូងបង្អស់នៅកម្ពុជារ៉ាទីកាប្រើប្រាស់ឧបករណ៍ទំនើបម៉ាកល្បីៗធានាគុណភាពការផលិតតាមបច្ចេកវិទ្យាទាន់សម័យរ៉ាទីកានឹងជួយធ្វើឲ្យកម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកកាន់តែមានភាពអស្ចារ្យលោកអ្នកនឹងបានឃើញរាល់សកម្មភាពក្នុងពិធីទៅលើកញ្ចក់ទូរទស្សន៍ទំហំធំកម្រិត 4K និងការបញ្ចាំងលើផ្ទាំងក្រណាត់សព្រមទាំង LED ដែលមានរូបភាពច្បាស់ត្រជាក់ភ្នែកសូមអញ្ជើញកក់ពីឥឡូវនេះតាមរយៈលេខទូរស័ព្ទ012 823 848 017 838 889និង016 823 848រ៉ាហ្វីកាទំនុកចិត្តការទទួលខុសត្រូវនិងគុណភាពខ្ពស់រ៉ាធីកា Entertainment ក្រុមតន្ត្រីអាជីពកំសាន្តបែបស្រាលពីរោះមិនថ្លង់ភ្ញៀវរំភើបចិត្តពិធីរឹតតែអស្ចារ្យ Relax រ៉ាធីកា Entertainment ញ៉ាំងឲ្យកម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកកាន់តែមានភាពអធិកអធមរ៉ាធីកា Entertainment ក្រុមតន្ត្រីដ៏ល្អសម្រាប់ក្រុមគ្រួសារលោកអ្នក សូមអញ្ជើញកក់ពីឥឡូវនេះសម្រាប់កម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកតាមរយៈលេខទូរស័ព្ទ017 838 889 012 823 848 និង016 823 848
EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear.
Cheyo គណៈបកប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាដ៏រុងរឿងគណៈបកប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាការពារនិងលើកស្ទួយផលប្រយោជន៍របស់ប្រជាជន1ថែរក្សាការពារសន្តិភាពសន្តិសុខសណ្ដាប់ធ្នាប់និងសុវត្ថិភាពសង្គមដើម្បីធានាភាពសុខសាន្តរបស់ប្រជាជននិងការអភិវឌ្ឍប្រទេសជាតិ2ផ្ដល់សេវាសាធារណៈជូនប្រជាពលរដ្ឋប្រកបដោយតម្លាភាពងាយស្រួលនិងជឿទុកចិត្តបន្តអនុវត្តការមិនយកកម្រៃសេវាលើការចុះបញ្ជីកំណើតបញ្ជីអាពាហ៍ពិពាហ៍បញ្ជីមរណភាពការផ្ដល់សៀវភៅស្នាក់នៅសៀវភៅគ្រួសារនិងអត្តសញ្ញាណប័ណ្ណសញ្ជាតិខ្មែរ3បន្តមិនយកពន្ធលើដីកសិកម្មជាលក្ខណៈគ្រួសារជួយកសិករក្នុងការពង្រីកផលិតកម្មនិងការរកទីផ្សារលក់កសិផលដោយថ្លៃសមរម្យបែងចែកដីនិងផ្ដល់កម្មសិទ្ធិដីជូនគ្រួសារក្រីក្រគ្មានដីដែលបានអនុវត្តតាមលក្ខខណ្ឌសម្បទានដីសង្គមគិច្ចទប់ស្កាត់ការទន្ទ្រានកាន់កាប់ដីគ្រប់ប្រភេទរបស់រដ្ឋដោយខុសច្បាប់និងបន្តធ្វើប្រទានកម្មដីជូនប្រជាជនរស់នៅនិងអាស្រ័យផលលើទីតាំងដីរដ្ឋតាមគោលការណ៍ដែលរដ្ឋបានកំណត់4បន្តអនុវត្តគោលការណ៍លុបការបង់ភាសីនិងការបង់ថ្លៃផ្សេងទៀតចំពោះការលក់ដូររបស់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋតាមកញ្ច្រែងកញ្ជើល្អីនៅតាមទីផ្សារនានានៅទូទាំងប្រទេសអាជីវករលក់ដូរតាមផ្សាររដ្ឋនិងទីតាំងផ្សាររដ្ឋមានសិទ្ធិកាន់កាប់ប្រើប្រាស់និងអាស្រ័យផលលើតូបរៀនស្តង់លក់ដូរនិងមានសិទ្ធិផ្ទេរសិទ្ធិទាំងនេះឲ្យកូនចៅឬអ្នកដទៃបានបន្តកាត់បន្ថយចំណាយសម្រាប់ការរស់នៅរបស់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋតាមរយៈយន្តការនៃការរក្សាស្ថិរភាពថ្លៃម្ហូបអាហារនិងកាត់បន្ថយថ្លៃទឹកនិងថ្លៃអគ្គិសនីសម្រាប់ប្រជាជនទូទៅ5លើកកម្ពស់ការអនុវត្តគោលនយោបាយភូមិឃុំសង្កាត់មានសុវត្ថិភាពបន្តអភិវឌ្ឍគ្រប់ឃុំសង្កាត់ឲ្យមានផ្លូវគមនាគមន៍កាន់តែល្អតាមរយៈការជួសជុលថែទាំផ្លូវជាប្រចាំការស្ថាបនាផ្លូវថ្មីថែមទៀតនិងការលើកកម្ពស់ផ្លូវពីផ្លូវដីទៅជាផ្លូវក្រាលកៅស៊ូឬផ្លូវបេតុង មានអគ្គិសនីនិងទឹកស្អាតប្រើប្រាស់គ្រប់គ្រាន់មានប្រព័ន្ធធារាសាស្ត្រកាន់តែប្រសើរឡើងនិងមានសេវាទូរគមនាគមន៍ប្រកបដោយគុណភាព
6. បន្តដំឡើងប្រាក់បៀវត្សជូនមន្ត្រីរាជការនិងកងកម្លាំងប្រដាប់អាវុធគ្រប់ប្រភេទបន្តកែសម្រួលនិងដំឡើងប្រាក់សោធននិវត្តន៍របស់អតីតមន្ត្រីរាជការនិងអតីតយុទ្ធជនបន្តដំឡើងប្រាក់ឈ្នួលអបបរមារបស់កម្មករនយោជិតព្រមទាំងរក្សាអត្ថប្រយោជន៍ផ្សេងសម្រាប់កម្មករនយោជិតបន្តអនុវត្តគោលការណ៍មិនយកពន្ធលើប្រាក់បៀវត្សអបបរមារបស់មន្ត្រីរាជការគ្រប់ប្រភេទនិងប្រាក់ឈ្នួលអបបរមារបស់កម្មករនយោជិតលើកកម្ពស់ការការពារសិទ្ធិនិងផលប្រយោជន៍កម្មករទាំងក្នុងប្រព័ន្ធនិងក្រៅប្រព័ន្ធបន្តអនុវត្តកម្មវិធីឧបត្ថម្ភសាច់ប្រាក់ជូនគ្រួសារក្រីក្រនិងងាយរងគ្រោះក្នុងអំឡុងពេលប្រយុទ្ធនឹងជំងឺ Covid-19 និងបន្តអនុវត្តកម្មវិធីឧបត្ថម្ភស្ត្រីមានផ្ទៃពោះនិងកុមារអាយុក្រោម2ឆ្នាំនៃគ្រួសារក្រីក្រនិងកម្មវិធីឧបត្ថម្ភកម្មការិនីមានផ្ទៃពោះនិងកូនអាយុក្រោម2ឆ្នាំ
7. លើកកម្ពស់ការផ្តល់សេវាថែទាំសុខភាពប្រកបដោយគុណភាពសុវត្ថិភាពប្រសិទ្ធភាពនិងសមត្ថភាពជូនប្រជាជនបន្តផ្តល់សេវាថែទាំសុខភាពបឋមនៅមណ្ឌលសុខភាពនិងសេវាបង្ការធ្វើរោគវិនិច្ឆ័យព្យាបាលថែទាំនិងស្ដារនីតិសម្បទានៅតាមមន្ទីរពេទ្យរដ្ឋទូទាំងប្រទេសដោយមិនបង់ថ្លៃជូនប្រជាជនក្រីក្រនិងងាយរងគ្រោះតាមរយៈកម្មវិធីមូលនិធិសមត្ថភាពសុខាភិបាលពង្រីកសាលាបឋមសិក្សាដល់គ្រប់ភូមិពង្រីកអនុវិទ្យាល័យដល់គ្រប់ឃុំនិងបង្កើនវិទ្យាល័យនៅតាមស្រុកយុវជនទទួលបានឱកាសក្នុងការរៀនសូត្របណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលវិជ្ជាជីវៈនិងមានការងារធ្វើ
8. ពង្រឹងការគ្រប់គ្រងជនបរទេសអន្តោប្រវេសន៍តាមច្បាប់ជាធរមានលើកកម្ពស់ការងារបង្ការទប់ស្កាត់និងបង្ក្រាបការលួចជ្រៀតចូលការស្នាក់នៅនិងការធ្វើសកម្មភាពខុសច្បាប់របស់ជនបរទេសដែលបានចូលមកកម្ពុជា សូមអញ្ជើញទៅបោះឆ្នោតគាំទ្រគណបក្សប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាដែលមានរូបសញ្ញាទេវតាបាច់ផ្កានិងមានលេខរៀងទី 18 នៅលើសន្លឹកឆ្នោត
ជ័យយោគណៈបក្សប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាដ៏រុងរឿងគណៈបក្សប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាអនុវត្តកម្មវិធីគោលនយោបាយជាអាទិភាព
កម្មវិធីទី 1 ការផ្ដល់ការថែទាំសុខភាពឆ្ពោះទៅកម្មវិធីគ្របដណ្ដប់សុខភាពជាសកលដោយចាប់ផ្ដើមពី 1. ការផ្ដល់សេវាថែទាំសុខភាពជូនគ្រួសារងាយរងហានិភ័យប្រមាណជាង 45,000 គ្រួសារស្មើនឹងសមាជិកសរុបជាង 1,500,000 នាក់តាមរយៈការប្រើប្រាស់មូលនិធិសមត្ថភាពសុខាភិបាលនិង 2. ការពង្រីករបបថែទាំសុខភាពរបស់បសសទាំងសម្រាប់កម្មករនយោជិតនិងសម្រាប់មន្ត្រីសាធារណៈដែលគ្របដណ្ដប់បន្ថែមដល់សមាជិកគ្រួសារនិងអ្នកក្នុងបន្ទុករបស់ពួកគាត់ប្រមាណជាង 3 លាននាក់តាមគោលការណ៍ស្ម័គ្រចិត្តជាសរុបគម្រោងទាំងពីរនេះនឹងធ្វើឲ្យប្រជាជនប្រមាណ 7,400,000 នាក់មានលទ្ធភាពទទួលបាននូវរបបសន្តិសុខសង្គមផ្នែកសេវាថែទាំសុខភាព
កម្មវិធីទី 2 ការបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលជំនាញវិជ្ជាជីវៈនិងបច្ចេកទេសជូនដល់យុវជនមកពីគ្រួសារក្រីក្រនិងគ្រួសារងាយរងហានិភ័យនៅទូទាំងប្រទេសដែលមានចំនួនប្រមាណជាង 1,500,000 នាក់នៅតាមបណ្ដាគ្រឹះស្ថានបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលវិជ្ជាជីវៈនានារបស់រដ្ឋក្នុងកម្រិតសញ្ញាបត្របច្ចេកទេសនិងវិជ្ជាជីវៈកម្រិត 1ដោយមិនបង់ថ្លៃសិក្សានិងទទួលបាននូវប្រាក់ឧបត្ថម្ភប្រចាំខែ
កម្មវិធីទី 3 ការធ្វើស្ថាបនិកនីយកម្មកម្មវិធីជាតិជំនួយសង្គមសម្រាប់គ្រួសារក្រីក្រក្រុមជនងាយរងគ្រោះនៅក្នុងគ្រួសារក្រីក្រនិងគ្រួសារងាយរងហានិភ័យនៅក្នុងគ្រាមានវិបត្តិសេដ្ឋកិច្ចនិងគ្រាមានគ្រោះអាសន្នដើម្បីជួយទ្រទ្រង់និងផ្ដល់ការគាំពារទាន់ពេលនិងក្នុងលក្ខណៈជាប្រព័ន្ធជូនប្រជាពលរដ្ឋជាពិសេសគ្រួសារក្រីក្រនិងងាយរងគ្រោះនិងគ្រួសារងាយរងហានិភ័យ ទៅតាមស្ថានភាពជាក់ស្ដែងនៃវិបត្តិឬគ្រោះអាសន្ននៅតាមគ្រប់ទីតាំងភូមិសាស្ត្រទូទាំងប្រទេសដែលនឹងគ្របដណ្ដប់លើប្រជាជនសរុបប្រមាណ4លាន3សែននាក់
កម្មវិធីទី4 ការដាក់ចេញនិងការជំរុញអនុវត្តយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រអភិវឌ្ឍសេដ្ឋកិច្ចក្រៅប្រព័ន្ធឲ្យមានលទ្ធភាពចូលរួមទៅក្នុងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចក្នុងប្រព័ន្ធនិងអាចទទួលបានផលប្រយោជន៍ពីប្រព័ន្ធគាំពារសង្គមផ្លូវការតាមរយៈ 1. ការផ្ដល់នូវការគាំពារនិងការបង្កើតនូវបរិយាកាសអំណោយផលសម្រាប់ការធ្វើធុរកិច្ចនិងពាណិជ្ជកម្មព្រមជាមួយនឹងការផ្ដល់នូវការបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលជំនាញបច្ចេកទេសនិងវិជ្ជាជីវៈដល់ក្រុមហ៊ុនសហគ្រាសធុនមីក្រូតូចនិងមធ្យមនិង 2. ការផ្ដល់ការគាំពារសង្គមដល់បុគ្គលស្វ័យនិយោជន៍នៅក្នុងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចក្រៅប្រព័ន្ធដោយផ្ដោតការយកចិត្តទុកដាក់ជាបឋមលើការផ្ដល់សេវាថែទាំសុខភាពនៅក្រោមមូលនិធិសមត្ថសុខាភិបាល
កម្មវិធីទី5 ការដាក់ចេញនូវយន្តការសម្របសម្រួលនិងកម្មវិធីហិរញ្ញប្បទានសម្ដៅលើកស្ទួយផលិតកម្មរកទីផ្សារនិងរក្សាលំនឹងថ្លៃកសិផលសំខាន់ៗក្នុងកម្រិតសមរម្យតាមរយៈការដាក់ចេញនូវកញ្ចប់ថវិកាជាក់លាក់ដោយចាប់ផ្ដើមពីចំនួន$100 លានអាមេរិកនិងអាចវិភាគថវិកាបន្ថែមប្រសិនបើមានតម្រូវការចាំបាច់ដើម្បីធ្វើអន្តរាគមន៍ឲ្យបានទាន់ពេលក្នុងការទិញកសិផលពីប្រជាកសិករជាមួយនឹងគោលដៅរក្សាស្ថិរភាពថ្លៃនៅរាល់រដូវប្រមូលផលជាពិសេសលើផលិតផលកសិកម្មមួយចំនួនជាអាចស្រូវស្វាយកែវរមៀតមានបៃលិនស្វាយចន្ទីដំឡូងពោតនិងផលិតផលផ្សេងទៀតតាមការចាំបាច់
កម្មវិធីទី6 ការរៀបចំចាត់បញ្ជូនមន្ត្រីបច្ចេកទេសផ្ដល់សេវាកសិកម្មឲ្យបានគ្រប់ឃុំទាំងអស់នៅទីជនបទទូទាំងប្រទេសដើម្បីជំរុញការលើកកម្ពស់ផលិតភាពកសិកម្មនិងជួយដល់គ្រួសារកសិករក្នុងការលើកស្ទួយផលិតផលកសិកម្មរបស់ខ្លួន
សូមអញ្ជើញ